everybody, it's Jackie Jing, and I'm with Ken Xyro. Hi, Ken.
Hello.
And Ken and I are launching an anime podcast, and basically, I wanted to start it because I was always picking Ken's brain about anime stuff. He has all this extensive knowledge, and I was like, oh my god, we got to start sharing this with other anime fans. So that's kind of the reason why I wanted to start it. But I just wanted to pick your brain about why you want to join the podcast, and maybe you can give anybody watching just some background on your anime past, I guess you could say.
That would be cool. So basically, I started off anime at a really early age. I started off with Dragon Ball, then I branched off to other different anime. But there was one thing that really interested me, and that was Japanese. So I was one day just watching an episode of Detective Conan, and there was a sort of a puzzle in that where sort of gives away his identity using the Japanese letters. And it got me thinking, like, if we were to translate that into English, how are we going to do that? Because there is no equivalent of a Japanese characters for English ones. So
Okay,
that is basically how I got started. Yeah,
that's cute.
that's
That's
a
a great story.
that's a short version, basically.
Yeah. So, you have a Twitter account, a YouTube following, and you do a lot of deep dives. Why did you decide to start doing that? I mean, do you just like have a passion about it and you're like, I want to share this knowledge with people? But I mean, like you're literally considered kind of like an anime expert, especially I think in the Western world. You have like a huge American following. So,
Well, sort of. When I started, I was basically just sharing my hobbies with everyone. But then, the more my following grew, the more I saw responses from people. I realized that many people don't really base their opinions on the right facts. Like, such, for example, there was a big misunderstanding that if you have a bigger budget, you're going to have better animations, which is not true. Then I see, even not just with related to anime, even with gaming, there are so many times that people are angry at a game, and it's for all the wrong reasons. Recently, I covered this topic very briefly regarding the new Dragon Ball game, which is called Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
hmm
People were really upset. Like, is this game gonna cover only the Frieza saga, only the Cell saga, and why is this game so similar to Xenoverse? And
hmm
all of that stuff is not true. So I decided to make a video and discuss why that's wrong. I really like when people sort of understand how things work behind the scenes. So that's why I started doing them.
So, I mean, I think everybody wants to know, how do you get these sources? Where do you learn this stuff from? I'm sure a lot of it is opinion, and I know you can't like reveal your sources, but maybe you can give some background into like how you have this knowledge, because it's just kind of like, I mean, I know for me that I grew up watching Dragon Ball, and just, I love anime, like I always have. But, there's only very select news outlets. It's not covered extensively here in the United States. So a lot of people do lean on, a lot of you, like, I want to call you guys like anime influencers or experts for knowledge, because it's just like we don't really have like an anime. We have Anime News Network and like Crunchyroll and some outlets, but it's like you guys do get a lot of I would say like exclusives or like some information breaking that like even, I mean, maybe you can speak to this too. A lot of the animation studios are pretty secretive, So basically, I guess in a long-winded way, I'm asking like, where do you get this information from?
So basically, it's all different sources. There is not a one place where we got all the information from. Basically, see, everyone in the West gets their news from the internet, and similarly in Japan, we have different magazines. And these magazines, I sort of grew up reading these magazines. When you read your weekly manga, like One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, any manga, these are actually published in magazines, and these magazines don't just have those manga, they have ton of other content. And these other content could be interviews with the staff, or it could be fan reactions, or it could be simply sort of telling you what's about to happen in the future for the franchise. So I basically read the entire magazine. What most people do is they simply read the weekly manga and they don't read the rest, because obviously they don't understand Japanese, most majority of them. So they have to stick to the English portions. But I just go and read the entire magazine. That's one way of learning more things. Another is to simply talk with other people in the industry and talk with them how things work. Same goes with the gaming industry and the anime industry as well.
Okay. Um, I do think it's crazy. It's just like some of the, I mean, straight up, there's a big time difference, right? But I remember you had tweeted out something. You were just reading a magazine and saw an advertisement about the My Hero Academia movie, and I think like I essentially worked with you to kind of break that here in America, but it was like almost like old news to you guys. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like for some reason it just takes so long to get out here. So I think like we're really grateful for you, for experts like you who are just kind of like, yo, this is like what I'm reading and seeing here. But do you have any insight into why there is this lag when it comes to this stuff kind of like breaking over here?
Yeah, so basically, I did cover this topic recently,
Yeah.
and there's different reasons for this. So when a magazine is released in Japan, it is supposed to release on Monday.
Mhm.
Our weekly manga in the West as well. There is Viz, which does what they call simul publications. So every same day, the Japan gets a manga. The West also gets that manga in English. Japan gets it in Japanese. West gets it in English.
Mhm.
So is these manga are released in magazines which go on sale. However, uh, just because they go on sale on Monday, they are supposed to be in stores before that. So there are some stores which don't wait for that Monday's date.
Oh, how funny.
Selling those magazines a bit earlier. So if somebody buys those magazines, we already have that information in Japanese before the official release date. And that's sort of a say it's kind of leak because it's the fault of the stores who just don't agree with the street date. They're just selling the magazines early on. So I but also at the same time I wanna respect the mangaka and the publishers, so I don't post anything related to manga because those would be spoilers. I make sure that if I'm posting anything from that, it's strictly either news, nothing related to spoilers. That's how we get this stuff. On average, we get that stuff about 3 days earlier.
Interesting. Okay. So, I I think it's like crazy because there's like several of you. Um, do you guys like all communicate? Are you guys all friends? Is there some beef between some of y'all? Like, I don't know. Like, I've noticed that there's just kind of like a group of you anime experts, I guess is what you'd say.
Well, it's sort of like any other community. It's
Yeah.
not really different. It really is same like a Japanese community or the English community or a gaming community. We are just the same. So basically, we all stuff we have among ourselves because we are all expert. But we all have our are different from the other. Like my friend Geekdom, he's
Mhm.
really good when it comes to Dragon Ball stuff. He knows the entire history of Dragon Ball. He's really good with the lore stuff. He Dragon Ball in so many languages and so many times. You can basically ask him about a scene, and he will know which chapter and which page it is from and which episode it is from. He knows everything
Wow.
about that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so y'all know your stuff. That we can say that without question. So like I did want to spend a little bit of the podcast doing an introduction. But typically we're going to be talking about kind of whatever is big right now. So you did post recently this poll that came out in Japan, and it kind of it basically broke down the top manga in Japan. Am I right there, or how would you describe it?
Well, so basically, this poll was done by the Japanese community, and I'm looking at it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So this was done last month, and Japanese fans were basically asked, guys, would you think should be the national manga for Japan? And Dragon Ball won that poll. Thing that really
Yay.
surprised one thing that surprised me and many other people,
Mhm.
that was One Piece and Gintama. One
Mhm.
Piece was ranked number 6 and Gintama number 9. And Gintama was surprising to me, but for most people, One Piece was the surprising part. because One Piece is huge in Japan.
Yeah.
The manga sales for One Piece is like every other manga, they are running a race of sales, and then there is One Piece. It's like it's way across everyone else. The only thing that came close to One Piece was, I think, in 2013. That's when the anime released for Attack on Titan, and I don't think many people realize this, but Attack on Titan was so huge, it changed the industry. It changed the entire graph of the industry, of the entire manga sales, to upwards. The graph was always falling for years, and
Yeah.
as soon as the Attack on Titan came out, the graph completely went upwards. Attack on Titan had a huge impact in the industry. But most manga, like when you compare their sales,
Yeah.
most manga rise slowly. They start from 10, 9, 8, they slowly go. Attack on Titan straight up came and it went number two. And it
Wow.
just the only yeah, it just came up in 2013 and straight away in 1 month it was number two. And it was not even, there was a point where it came so close with One Piece. It was like 11 point, and like 11.2 million, so there wasn't a big difference between the two.
Sorry, you cut off a little bit. Could you say that that numerical difference again? You said between Attack on Titan and One Piece.
Which one difference?
Attack on Titan and One Piece, you said that when they came out on this poll that it was like they were really close in number, right?
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna start from the sales portion.
Yeah.
One Piece was basically running a different race of its own. There
Uh-huh.
was nothing coming close to it. But then in 2013, Attack on Titan's anime came out, and it straight away jumped to number two. 9, 8, straight away jumped to number two.
Mhm.
And at one point, it got so close to One Piece that One Piece had sales around 11.5 million, and Attack on Titan had sales around 11.2 million. Nobody, rarely any manga comes this close to One Piece. That's
Yeah.
how big One Piece is in Japan. So it was really surprising to see it number six on the list. But
Yeah.
then when I look at the other anime that are on this list, like Dragon Ball, Doraemon, Gege no Kitaro, Sadai-san, Detective Conan,
Mhm.
I straight away understand why these anime are on the list and One Piece is number six. So basically, Japanese fans understand the impact of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is huge worldwide.
Mhm.
For many countries and people, the meaning of anime is Dragon Ball. That's where they begin.
Yeah, I would agree with
Uh,
that. Yeah.
yeah, basically, in many places I visit, I talk to people, and if I somehow talk about anime, to them, anime is Dragon Ball. That's how big Dragon Ball is.
Mhm.
And Japanese fans realize that. That's why Dragon Ball won that poll. But then there is Doraemon and Kitaro that most Western fans might have not heard about, and
Mhm.
Sazai-san and Detective Conan. These things are really loved in Japan. There's that Sazai-san on number four. I'm going to tell you an interesting bit about that.
Mhm.
Every week, when people watch anime on TV in Japan,
Yeah.
there's sort of a, you could call it TV rating, which tells them how many people are watching their show.
Mhm.
So Sazai-san constantly every single week almost gets twice the viewership of One Piece, and
Wow.
that's been going on for a long time.
So
Yeah, exactly.
why isn't that show like I straight up have never even heard of that show. So like why is that show not popular here? Is it maybe just well, I mean it has to come down to also, it being released over here, accessibility, right? I don't know, maybe you can elaborate.
Well, it sort of is that, but it's also a cultural thing because Sazai-san has been going on for a long, long time. Do
Mhm.
you know number three on the list is Gegege no Kitaro? Have you
Yeah.
heard about that?
No, I know Doraemon. I did not know 3 or 4. And I think I've heard of Detective Conan. I've never seen it though, but I was like 3 and 4 just knew nothing about.
Conan is also huge.
Uh-huh.
You know about the TV host, what's his name? Do you know about him?
What's his name?
Conan O'Brien,
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
American.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I love him, and
Yeah.
there was one time he was sort of doing a bit where he was complaining that everywhere in the world, when you search Conan, you get him
Yeah.
first on Google. Japan, you get Detective Conan.
That's too funny. Oh man. So why do you
He-
think that just culturally that some of those ones don't translate? But I mean, I feel like anime fans have like really, especially in the United States, like we've really learned to love and embrace it. Like what do you think the difference is there maybe?
well, Detective Conan is sort of doesn't fall in the same category. It's just a good anime. Like if you like detective stuff,
Yeah.
if you watch Detective Conan, it's really good stuff. Like
Mhm.
it's been going on for many years.
Mhm.
Really deep down, like the core of it is basically solving murder mysteries. And if somebody likes that, and it's been going on for such a long time, so that's why people love it. But when it comes to like Kitaro and Saisan, this is sort of where the jokes are more, based on the Japanese culture. And if you don't know Japanese, you're not going to understand many things about that.
Hmm.
Taro is actually based on, I think, what it's called. In the Japanese myths and legend, there are some ghost type of thing. I forgot the exact word for it, the Japanese word for it. So it's based on that. So if we bring Kitaro to the Western market, people are going to like it, but
Mhm.
they are not going to like it as understand Japanese culture does. And
Okay.
it's also been going on for a long time. You know the voice actor for Goku in Japan, in the Japanese dub.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, you broke up. What did you say?
The Japanese voice for. Do you know about the Japanese voice for in?
Is a woman, right? Yeah.
It's Masako Nozawa, and
Yeah.
she is 82 years old right now.
I mean, honestly, like whenever I listen to the sub version, I'm like literally like it's just so different than the dubbed. You know what I mean? And that's just kind of what I grew up with. But I know the people who love like the subbed or the Japanese voices, like they're like I cannot hear anything else. But it still blows my mind that it's like this little old lady. You know what I mean? Like
And imagine she's 82 years old right
yeah.
now. So the voice of Goku when she was 30, only 30. She was doing voices in Kitaro.
Oh
That's how old
wow.
Kitaro is.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. When she was doing the voices for Kitaro. And I actually have a video of this. I posted this some time ago on Twitter
Uh-huh.
where Masako Nozawa was on tape, on a video tape, and she was really young,
Yeah.
30 years old, and she was doing voices of Kitaro on a show.
I mean,
That's why exactly it's loved.
how many episodes does that anime have?
You can't even begin to
Ah,
count.
oh my gosh, and I thought that Dragon Ball was long. I'm like, oh my god, and One Piece is bad. I mean, like, okay. So I guess I'm never gonna get into those ones. Were there any other surprises on the list for you, or did you think that it reflected kind of what you thought was gonna happen?
Gintama was another surprise because it was number 9, and
Mhm.
I expected it to be much higher.
Mhm.
Different polls, there are some yearly polls that I look at, and there's an yearly poll called Vote for Your Favorite Mangaka.
Mhm.
And in that favorite mangaka poll, the mangaka of Gintama has been getting the number one
Oh
spot for the
wow.
last, constantly for the last 5 years.
Uh huh.
Gintama to be a bit higher. Also, Gintama ended this year, so I was expecting Gintama to be a bit higher.
Yeah, I mean, top 10, not too bad. Some other ones that, so you were talking about Attack on Titan, that ended up being number 18. So that kind of fell off. Like you said, it was like surging in popularity. Did you have like any insight into why you think that like barely made the top 20?
Well, the thing with Attack on Titan is that it really blew up when the anime came out. It wasn't even selling as good in the West before the anime. Just when the anime came out, they actually ordered, I think, around or something 5,000, 10,000, and they expected that to sell out in like 6 months, but it
Hmm.
sold out in a another reprint. They went on that no way it's gonna sell off this time. They ordered 50,000, and then they ordered 100,000, and they expected that 100,000 6 months, but it sold out in 6 weeks
Hmm.
of Attack on Titan's popularity. But after that, as it went on, I guess the popularity fell off, and now it's really a niche kind of thing. Like Attack on Titan fans really love it, but to sort of start that from hearing about that on the internet, they think it's overhyped. So that's why it sort of fell off.
Okay. Some of the other names that I saw in there that I recognized were JoJo's, Full Metal Alchemist, Hunter x Hunter, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Sailor Moon. So a lot of titles that I think that the American audience would know, but I was wondering, like, there were so many on there that I didn't know. So are there any underrated manga that you would suggest people in the United States check out? Because I mean, like, the ones I just read to you are extremely popular, but I was going through that top 50 list and like I just straight up was like, I don't know what this image is. You know what I mean? I mean, it was in
Yeah.
Japanese, mind you, but I was like, I don't know who these characters are or anything. So, any underrated manga that you'd recommend for people?
Basically, I did a video about this like last month or something.
Mhm.
People were asking me what's your top 10 anime, top 10 manga. And I did this in the past, but I realized when I did it in the past, I included anime like Naruto,
Mhm.
Attack on Titan. And I felt like good list because people already know about these animes. So what if they hear from me that, oh, that's number 6 on my list? It doesn't matter because people already know about this and they are
Mhm.
not gonna get introduced to new stuff.
Mhm.
So when I was doing this last month, I decided one rule for like list from 4 to number 10. I'm gonna just pick up anime which which is not as popular in the West. So among that list, one manga and anime I would really recommend is Bakuman.
Mhm.
Bakuman is sort of it came from the duo who made Death Note.
Oh wow. Okay.
It made by a team of two people. One did the story and one did the art. So basically, they made this story of this new manga around two characters who want to become mangaka, and one of them is an artist, and one of them writes the story. So
I've
they sort
heard
of
about this one. Okay. Yeah. I've never checked it out though. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. Okay.
really good. They have like 3 seasons in the anime and the manga is finished. It's really good. And then I would say when it comes to anime, my top 2 anime of all time would be G, that not many people know about. Again, it's about gambling, and
Which
I
one
love
was it?
gambling
Sorry,
stuff.
could you repeat it one more time?
Kaiji, and it's basically the name of the main protagonist.
Uh-huh.
Gambling, like sort of stuff like Death Note, where people are competing against each other using their mind games and using strategies, then you're gonna love Kaiji. Anime and manga of all time is something called Hajime no Ippo, and that's
Oh my
sort of a.
gosh. That one's old.
Do you watch it? Yeah, it's really old.
That's a
It's like
boxing one,
1,000
right?
chapters. Yes, I love
Yes.
that.
Oh my God. I've had a friend who was like, "You need to watch this," and I was like, "Okay, okay." Like you know how it is. There's always so much anime, right? And I pushed it off. I pushed it off. But if you put it on your recommendation, maybe I really should. So tell
Well,
us
it's
more. It's
number
about
one.
boxing, right?
Well, it's sort of like when I started, somebody recommended it to me. I was like, love boxing, but I'm not gonna watch a entire anime about people just punching each other. But there's so much more to it than just people punching. Like if you think about the Rocky movies, how much of a 2 hour movie or a 90-minute movie is actually boxing?
Yeah.
Of the time on the characters, on their training, how they develop their relationships. So majority of the portion is spent on that. And the anime is similar. There's so many different characters who you are gonna love. The one thing that I really love about this franchise is that they treat every single character in character. They backstories, such good backstories that at times when they are going to face the main character, you won't understand who you should cheer for because their backstory is just main characters.
Oh,
So
I love
that's
that.
amazing. And if you start watching it or start reading the manga, you're just going to finish it in one go. It's that good.
Aw. Okay, Ken. Well, we're running out of time here, but I mean that was great. Thank you so much. Our first episode is completed, and if you don't follow Ken already, it's at Ken XYRO Ken Xyro. Yeah, I'm super excited to launch this. I just feel like, I have a different perspective than you do. Like, I mean, I have basically been just kind of digesting anime according to what's been out here in America, you know, and Twitter has really like opened our eyes to be able to pick the brains of you guys. So I was just like, all right, we got to get this started. But if you guys have any questions for Ken, again, hit him up on social media, and yeah, we're gonna try to do this once a week. So we'll see if we'll get it done. Ken, did you want to add anything or no?
That's all. See you guys on social media and hopefully next week.
Yay! Bye, everybody.